F.E.A.R. is a horror game. A horror game directed by John Woo and starring John Wick. Developed by Monolith Productions and released in 2005, it remains one of the greatest shooters ever made. Unfortunately, Monolith was recently shut down as part of Warner Bros. Ongoing efforts to shit on everything they own. So now seems like the perfect time to revisit one of their best works. So, what's this game even about? What the fuck? FEAR stands for First Encounter Assault Recon, a specialized branch of the US military dedicated to handling paranormal threats, essentially militarized Ghostbusters. You play as the team's newest member, the Point Man, a mute, faceless protagonist with a mysterious backstory that becomes evident early on. Your mission is to track down Paxton Fettel, a psychic who has taken control of an army of highly trained, heavily armed, cloned super soldiers through telepathy. He also eats people. Possibly to absorb their memories, possibly just for fun. The game never really explains it. I'll get more into the story later. For now, let's talk presentation. The first thing you'll notice about FEAR is how clean everything looks. Not in the sense of being tidy, but more of a corporate, sterile way. Most of the game takes place in warehouses, office buildings, all very mundane and white. Almost like a canvas. Besides keeping things grounded, it's also useful for navigating. Yeah, I think I've been here. That's not to say the environment lacks variety. While the offices are a major focus, you'll explore the entire building from the rooftops to the underground parking garages. I've seen less of my actual office. Other locations include abandoned apartments, secret labs, and sewer systems. Based on what I'm describing, you might think the game is as exciting as an empty IKEA to walk through, but it's obvious that's not the case. So why is that?
She is a prisoner, floating in darkness.
It's a lighting system. Unlike many games of its era, it avoids baked-in lighting, instead using dynamic lights from lamps, monitors, Xerox machines, projectors, all interactable. This creates some stunning atmosphere, even by today's standards. Shadows play a key role as well. Sometimes you'll see an enemy's shadow before you see them. Or a little girl's ghost walking by. Or your own shadow. Got scared by my own fucking shadow, Jesus Christ. There are a lot of other small details like realistic object physics, glass that shatters dynamically based on impact, advanced smoke effects, RTX, DLSS. Before Crisis, there was FEAR. Usually, whenever there's a moment a game wants to show off its graphics, it'll pull off a damn moment. The camera slowly pans out, the music swells, the characters take a pose, and you can't help but go damn. Then you take a screenshot you'll never look at and move on with the gameplay. FEAR isn't like that. It doesn't want you to stand still and take in the scenery. It wants you to... Yeah, I've put it off long enough. Every element of FEAR is designed to make firefights as visceral, chaotic, and satisfying as possible. Even the starter pistol has a kick. Every shot has weight, every impact is felt, and every firefight turns any room into a mess of blood, bullet holes, and trash. The game also features what should be a mandatory inclusion in all games, a slow-mo button. You don't need to use it at any point in the game. You can treat it like any other shooter and just shoot from behind cover, but it'll become second nature. It turns any engagement into cinematic shootouts with bullets whizzing through the air and debris slowly falling around you. The physics also go crazy. You're constantly sending enemies flying. I don't know if it is because of the game running on a higher frame rate or if they intentionally left this in the game as is, but I'm not complaining. Now, much has been said about FEAR's AI and how groundbreaking it was at the time. While it is good, there's also a lot of smoke and mirrors. Enemies will move intelligently, yes, taking cover and flanking when possible. Sometimes they will even keep quiet and hide in the dark, waiting for you to walk past them. However, their decision making isn't perfect. And yes, it is impressive the first time you see them moving boxes to create cover. It's usually just a scripted event that they'll do even if it's not the smartest thing to do at the moment. They can jump over cover or crawl under it, but very rarely is it actually useful for them to do so. And I'm playing on the hardest difficulty, so it's not like they are purposely dumb. They do take multiple headshots, so who's to say? The smartest thing regarding their design is the callouts. They have a lot of them. For just about any situation you or they are in. Even then, they sometimes get it wrong, but you can probably attribute it to panic. They are clones, which is useful for the voice acting budget, but they are not mindless. They have a lot of personality. I love them. They are some of the best enemies in games to fight. There aren't many unique enemy types, and what is used sparingly, but you never feel bored. The elites always feel like the biggest threats on the battlefield and have a creepy death sound. And the mechs are rare and the only thing the game has for bosses. There is one more enemy type, but just like the game, I'll tease it for later. In terms of guns, there's not a lot of crazy stuff out there, but each gun feels like it's shooting drill bits. You have SMGs and ARs, which yeah, feel great, but the shotgun is amazing. Especially all the smoke it creates when shooting. You can also dual wield pistols, or you can cheat. You also have grenades, which explode when hitting an enemy, proximity mines, and remote grenades, which realistically you would only use if you are low on anything else. In short, the combat's amazing. Despite the marketing, you're not playing this for the horror. You're playing it for the firefights. Oh, right, the scary ghost girl. Suppose I should talk about her. The horror is a bit all over the place. The best type of horror builds on your tension until you're at your boiling point, jumping at every small noise, but there isn't that much tension when you have an arsenal with you. Besides, the way the levels are structured, you'll know whenever a horror section is about to come up. The game can't help but let you know. There is a visual hint and a little audio stint, and the ghosts are never a threat in any case. That's not a ghost. What the fuck is that? Sometimes the horror works when it knows you've become used to it.
He deserved to die.
These bastards are a good example. They are teased from the beginning of the game, but only appear a couple of times in the second half of the game. Besides the sneaky boys, there are a couple of doubled scares that got me, as usually once the scare happens you would let your guard down. There are a few trippy moments, and my favorite parts are just seeing the little ghost girl stalking you, but overall, while this is no Amnesia, the horror aspects are serviceable enough. They provide a good pace break from all the combat, and I do appreciate how they are used in the optional areas you can find while exploring for health and reflex boosts. These moments are mostly used for the benefits of the story. You are, after all, a FEAR agent.
Since you're on point, see if you can get this gate open. I'd send one of my boys, but I think we need a specialist for this one.
There's not much I can say about the plot without going into spoilers. For the majority of the game, you'll just be hunting Paxton with semi-regular updates from your team that, yeah, he's just up ahead. There are a couple other FEAR operatives with you on the mission, but there's not much interaction between you and them besides them thinking you're a freak.
Just say what's on your mind, Jankowski.
I don't know. Something about him just feels off.
The day I look to you as a judge of character will be a sad day indeed.
That is saying something when apparently all other special forces think FEAR is a joke. Well, who's laughing now, idiots? To be honest, I don't blame them. There is no proof of FEAR actually solving any case. For all I know, they're just going guns blazing against a paranormal psychic because they have no clue what they're up against. Sure, the guns work fine on the replicant forces, but they're not the biggest threat. Paxton isn't either. You get to meet a few other characters throughout the game, but you won't get a lot out of them in their current situation. Most of your information will come from Alienware laptops and phone messages. While some are just background fluff, others provide crucial lore information. It is a neat diegetic way of delivering audio logs, but it can be awkward to just stand around and wait for 3 consecutive messages to play while nothing else happens.
You have 3 new messages. First message from...
Once you piece it together, the story is quite good, but it takes a long while for it to get relevant. I have a couple more things to say about it, but if you don't want spoilers, skip to here.
Well, Baru, people always said we were a hot couple.
You know, Owen, you really are an asshole.
Okay, so the whole story revolves around the Wade family. Harlan Wade, Alice Wade, and Alma Wade, the dead girl. And Paxton Fettel. And you. That rat could have been a family pet, you don't know. Harlan was in charge of Project Origin, an experiment to create psychic commanders, as apparently they found out during the Vietnam War that comms between soldiers and command were too slow. So instead of developing better radios or GoPros or something, they used Alma, who was a very powerful psionic, also 7 years old. Initially they put her in a coma and tried using her DNA to create psychics, but that didn't work, so then they tried artificially impregnating her. They did wait until she was 15, they were not monsters after all. Thus the first prototype was created. You, the point man. But apparently that was a failure, so they tried a second time 1 year later. That second child was Paxton. When he was 10, Alma managed to sync her mind to his, creating a synchronicity event and killing a lot of people. After that, Origin was shut down, and Alma's life support was cut. 20 years later, she reawakens and syncs with Paxton again, creating a second synchronicity event and starting the game off. Most of this you learn either through collectibles or right at the end of the game. What's there in terms of the story is compelling and quite good, but there are a lot of questions left unanswered. The story will only get more confusing with the expansions and with the other games. The ending is also quite abrupt. Paxton kills Alice, you kill Paxton, Alma kills Harlan, Alma is freed, Alma kills you, oh wait, no, scratch that, you escape, big boom.
What about Alma? What happened to her? What was that sound?
F.E.A.R is still one of the greatest shooters of all time, and remains one of Monolith's finest. There are also 2 expansions which I didn't cover in the video. One of them is very good, the other not so much. They're also not canon. The rest of the franchise also didn't keep to the same level of quality as the first one, as they fell for the same disease that killed so many franchises in the 7th gen, trying to win over the Call of Duty audience. But F.E.A.R 1 is a game that definitely deserves being checked out. It's available on Steam, but also on GOG, which is also now part of the preservation program, so it should be a hassle-free process to play it at any time. There will be a link in the description. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, maybe even a sub. Bye bye.
Sayonara, sucker.